Alright, another response video to this guy, the skeptical heretic. Yeah, we've gotten a lot more polite, so we're getting along now, so this should be a lot better. So I'm not going to play all of his video, I'll just play parts of it. I'm up to a couple of minutes into this thing. He's basically arguing that he doesn't want to argue abiogenesis, but I think he does, in a way. He's sort of defining terms, and that's good. He talks a lot about reflecting as if that's part of what makes us sentient, and I don't know if you need to reflect so much as you just need to feel. I mean, you know, you feel the pain. I kick you, you feel the pain. I stab you, you feel the pain. You don't really need to reflect on it. You just need to have the sense organs to have a knife put into them, or some other thing to harass them, and you will. I just knock one of your teeth out. You're not going to need to reflect on it. You're going to feel it. And then he's also arguing that I think complexity is the key thing here. And I'm not going to argue that we're not very complex, and complexity isn't a key component. But all complexity does not become conscious. All complexity does not become sentient. There has to be a reproducing molecule for there to be really accelerated evolution. And it has to do that blueprint thing to really do quick evolution. I mean, our blueprint evolves. We don't evolve. The blueprint evolves. And that's really the key here, is that you can do much quicker evolution when you're changing or mutating a blueprint and not changing or mutating the actual physical beings. Yeah. So anyway, that's where we are now. So I'll play a little bit of this and we'll see where I left off.
So you're not stopping sentience, even by wiping out the biological. You're not clearing up this problem.
Yeah, see, that I just don't buy that argument. You're basically arguing that there's sentience in the universe or someplace else, and there's no evidence of any of it. You're going to have to demonstrate it with some kind of evidence, and there's nothing. The only evidence we have is, that this is what you have to have. You have to have this. You have to have this need machine for anything to ever evolve intelligence, because the only use intelligence has is as a tool to be a slave to the needs, the demands of that desire machine. So you have to have the need machine, you have to have the desire machine, you have to have the organism that needs to create the need for intelligence, because the universe just doesn't need it, and most of the organisms existing don't need it. And that's why they stay where they are for an awful long time, is because you don't need to be intelligent to eat shit. And so, yeah. Anyway, so I'll listen to this some more and then be back. Yeah, there'll be a walk and talk on the end of this where I hit most of the two bigger points he makes in the end of this video. So, it's in the rain, but you can deal with it. Alright, now he really is pushing this idea. So again, we are back to abiogenesis. You really just can't avoid it. That there is this, that life is going to keep happening. Sentience is going to keep happening. Whether it's in the form of a living animal or not, I just don't buy any of this. I think if something's reproducing, we would call it life, okay? If it's through some natural process, acquires the capacity to reproduce itself and evolve, you'd have to call it a life form. So, yeah, I just think it's required. And again, I think it can be, I think a good rational argument could be written, produced, if necessary, explaining how there is some necessities here. That you have to go through certain steps to ever get to something that's going to evolve, and that evolution is the key to this whole thing. And you got to have the blueprint thing, and all these little elements are going to have to be part of whatever this thing is. And we have no evidence that this chemistry is common in the universe whatsoever. No evidence that it could be as unique as any event. This exact pen, flying through the air and landing on a set of earplugs. Now, what's the odds of that? I mean, it's a set of earplugs on it, and it landed on it. How many times in the history of the universe has that happened? I mean, realistically, come on. It just hasn't. That was the first and only time it's ever going to happen. This phone, the pen has a phone number on it. Okay, a pen with this phone number on it landing on earplugs. I mean, it just doesn't happen. And that's what life could be, just an event that just doesn't friggin' happen. And we have no evidence that it's common, that it happens, because it just doesn't. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It just doesn't. It doesn't exist here in a different form. It just doesn't. I've argued this already, so I guess I won't argue it again. But I mean, if that's going to be the constituent, if that's the premise of your argument, that we can't end, again, it doesn't even matter. If there was other life in the universe, how are we going to help it? There's no physics that can get us there to do anything. How does that change the fact that we have a Holocaust here? I mean, if you have something bad here that you need to stop, why would you not stop it? Stopping it is still your obligation. So if there's an irresponsible event taking place here, if there's hunters on Earth and they're evil and we've decided they're evil, why wouldn't you stop them? So again, it just doesn't mean anything. The argument's irrelevant to the fact that even if you say we have a mission to do in the universe, all right, I'll grant that to you, and I'll say, okay, let's keep a few thousand people to do the mission thing. They can go fly through space and try to find other life forms and say, let's see if we can find the plug and unplug the whole universe. Maybe that's possible. Doesn't seem very realistic, but yeah, why not? But it's going to have to be, the point is we don't need to be doing this nonsense, this pointless chasing of the synthetic cheese. That game doesn't become good or bad based on whether or not there's other concentration camps out in the universe that need liberating.
I conflate antinatalism with a religion. And you're going to hate that, I'm sure you're sitting there.
I think it's just nonsense. Every time you're going to make the accusation that something is a religion, my only argument is, then first point out the dogma. First show me the Bible, okay? You can't really call something a religion unless you have a Bible of it. Or there is some sort of like totem pole, or some sort of Gaia. Some sort of, like, we know that praying to a DNA molecule or having reverence for the DNA would be stupid. It would be likewise stupid to, astrology. But again, so show me the dogma. Show me the book of dogma. Astrology has its book of dogma. It has a whole writings about what planets mean and when they are in each other's whatever, zodiacs and all that shit. So show me the dogma of antinatalism. And until you do that, it's just a slander, in my opinion. It's just a cheap, sloppy, lazy argumentation. Yeah, I'll just call them, why don't you call this, like, instead of religion, just you could find an N-word. You could find some other derogatory language to call somebody, but that's all you're doing. It's just a cheap, dirty word. Yeah, that's all. You're just calling people a dirty word. Yeah, it's kind of a cheap way to argue. So anyway, be back for the end here.
There's no way to prove your assertion that antinatalism is the ethical argument. We don't have the information to make these broad-based assertions that you've made in this, well, not necessarily you in person.
All right. So now we're sort of getting to the argument I take care of in the walk and talk, and I'll just, lead up to it again. I mean, his basic argument is that we don't know, and that the response to we don't know should be perpetuated. I mean, that's the unstated argument. Well, why would that be the rational response? If you stumble upon something, you don't automatically assume what it's doing is a good thing, do you? Well, why would you automatically assume it was good? So if you stumbled on a Frankenstein, you would automatically assume he was a good guy. I mean, that would be that would be the default, and you'd have to wait until he proved himself not to be a good guy and pulled your head off and killed you. I mean, if that's what you're going to do, then you're going to lose. Okay, but that's going to be fail. And so I don't think there should be any assumption. It's like if you met animals in the wild, a certain number of them are going to be predators that will eat you, and a certain number are going to be food for you to eat. And you're going to have to put them in a category. But you can't walk up to the ones that are going to eat you with this assumption that they're just fine. Well, anyway, the point is you would not continue, if this was just a maze experiment game, we have no cause to assume it's a good experiment. We have no cause to assume it's functional or it's producing anything. There's no evidence of that. So why would the default be to keep it running? That would be not smart. I mean, the smart thing to do is to say, well, let's wait until we know what it is, and then we can run it. So let's even reduce it to its minimum. Let's turn the lights down as low as possible until we know it's safe to put the lights on, or however the metaphor would be. But it would be, the smart thing to do would be go with the fail safe, not with the boldly go, dangerous, risky perpetuation. There's probably better metaphors for this, something to do with something that just has momentum, and you just assuming because it has momentum that it earned it somehow, and that you're going to push it your little push too. Well, why should you push? Why should you add more force to something that you don't know whether it even earned the force it already has? If a comet's flying by, would you just give it another 50 miles an hour of boost and smash it into somebody else? It's just, I don't know. Like I said, there's probably better metaphors for this, but the default should not be perpetuation. And it certainly shouldn't be with the information that we know. If you're going to be an atheist and you're going to recognize the bullshit theories of fantasy construction, well, we know this is unintelligent design. We know about consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. We know a lot. You keep saying we're ignorant. We're not ignorant. We know a lot. We know that this is exactly what would take place when you let friggin' DNA molecules loose. They create Tyrannosauruses. Alright, they happen to create us too, but the point is we know they more likely are going to create great white sharks and Tyrannosauruses and worms that'll eat their way through your toes and right up to your brain and kill you hard. This is what nature creates. So why is the default good? No, the default is, whoa, let's cut this down to a minimum until we know what the fuck we can do with this. Is there anything we can do with this? Does it make any sense at all? So no, I think the default has to go with where the rational evidence points, which is, oh, this is fucked. This is a square wheel and you can't make it round. So, yeah. So anyway, the walk and talk is the end of this. Sorry, long video, but it's life. And such. Alright, gonna be kind of a miserable walk kind of video. Yes, it's raining. My ears are fucked up, and what else can I complain about? It seems like a lot of rain for some reason. Damn it. Anyway, so yeah, the Skeptical Heretic guy did a video. Sorry, I gotta look down because the ground is covered in water. Yeah, maybe this ain't gonna work. So anyway, yeah, he was kind of a nice guy about it and all that crap, so I'll make a response. And I think I'll play his video, so this will be a lot of video in the end. But I just thought I'd talk about a few of the major points I think he's getting after, which are common to a lot of people, I suppose. He just put different words. The first argument is he's sort of talking like this is built on some sort of dogma again, like there's a religion at the base of this logic. And that would be like arguing that the people protesting against Frankenstein, let's say, if Frankenstein was doing his experiments, that somehow they would be a religious mob. And that's just, I think that's just bullshit. We can evaluate some things and say whether they're right or wrong. If you're against nuclear power, does it really make sense for somebody to say you're religious? Unless your reason to be against it is it's ungodly or it's unnatural. Until somebody expresses their reasoning or their logic, it just seems very bogus to make that argument. The anti-natalist is basically arguing that we know enough, that we have enough information about our origins and about the basic function of the sentient organism to draw conclusions that it's not satisfying a purpose and that it opens a door to a greater vulnerability for harm than any door to any kind of magical accomplishment. Now, the first premise of it is the most obvious premise, that when you look into the universe, you don't see where we're necessary. There's no mechanisms, there's no gears that need humans as grease. We don't perform any function vital to the welfare of the universe. It doesn't have a welfare. It's not in pain, and we're not the Band-Aid for the universe's wound. We are not the gasoline that makes the universe run. We are not, we can just keep going down this list, but yeah, we provide no utility, no functionality, no anything that the new universe needs us to perform. And that's a huge discovery. You know, in the prehistoric philosophy of religion, you know, well, I guess prehistoric wouldn't be the right way to put it, but yeah, there's this automatic functionality. We're satisfying God's mission. We're satisfying God's desire. Without God, where's your functionality? Where's your service? Where's your accomplishment, your satisfaction of a need? There is none. So here is where we're vulnerable. Now we have to justify our existence in this circumstance where you have an experiment being performed that really has no function. Like I said, it's like building a nuclear power plant that doesn't produce electricity, that doesn't do anything. It just is a nuclear power plant. Why would you open yourself up to that risk when there's no potential for an accomplishment? When there's no need that the nuclear power plant would satisfy? That is illogical. So it's not about some faith or dogma. It's a logical argument. So it's just totally lame to throw that religion card every time you hear a philosophy that isn't popular. You're just going to say, oh, it's religion. You know, it's Jim Jones-erites. They're coming to get us. I mean, that's just bogus. All right, towards the end of your argument, he was basically saying, what if you're wrong? Well, I mean, that gets even easier to argue. Because, yeah, you could just say that so easy. What if I'm wrong? Well, the consequence would be just as horrible as the fact that there's no life on Mars right now, and that maybe there was life on Mars. They all antinataled, and they're wrong somehow. What would the consequence of their wrongness be? No life on Mars? Is somebody missing it? Is something horribly wrong in the universe because there's no life on Mars? I don't think so. I mean, how can wrong be a possibility? We know we're not vital. We know the first cell that reproduced on this planet was not put there by a god, an intelligence, let's say. Intelligence would not conduct an experiment this serious without any oversight, without coming back to check. Sorry, I'm going to clean this camera. Well, dry the camera, just to avoid any unnecessary ruining of it. Anyway, yeah. What? So you're saying that you're almost saying that it would be wrong to stop people from doing ludicrously stupid things because their God might exist. So if somebody kills 17-year-old virgin girls, throws them into fucking volcanoes because of their religion, or tradition, or culture, or some other inane nonsense, I should not stop them because their religion might be right? I mean, why should I? What? I shouldn't do that. I'm quite confident that the logic pointing to the truth being that the universe has no guidance, that it is unintelligent design, that we did in fact evolve, that before we biologically evolved, we chemically evolved, and through abiogenesis became biology, and that none of it serves any purpose but the silly replication of a molecule that doesn't do anything else but replicate itself. It could replicate itself in manifestations that are hideous like Tyrannosauruses. They could be ruling the world right now if not for circumstance, not gods, just circumstance. Is that a beautiful thing? I mean, no, of course not. It's just consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. It doesn't perform a function. That's where all the logic points. So why should I placate a fable, a fantasy of the idea that there's an intelligence out there that has a secret purpose for us that we can't discern, and that it, even though it's intelligent, wants to play some silly game and not let us in on it. I mean, that's what intelligence does. It plays silly little games where it decides the truth. I mean, come on, does that make any sense at all? I don't think it does. I think it's as likely as expecting the three pigs to come knocking on your door. It's so preposterously contingent. You're just looking for some alternative, and you'll just take any story you'll do. Tell me, you know, I can buy some beans and they'll grow into a beanstalk, and I'll go talk to the giant, he'll explain it. I mean, you could just make up any kind of crap to say, let's contrive some reason why this is functioning to do something other than just a bunch of biological humus made out of this idea, this concept, this happening of reproduction. And it's not doing anything else. It's strictly the only mission statement. That's it. There's no other mission statement. That's all. It's reproduction for the sake of reproduction. Nothing else. So certainly when you have an experiment that performs no function, that has no intelligent creation or purpose, that has no hope of developing one realistically, that creates need and want and a substantial potential for negative harm. How the hell does the math go anywhere but why do that? That's stupid. Why take an unnecessary risk? Why build a nuclear power plant if you will gain no energy from it, no human benefit, and you will just propel yourself into a risk equation where you may do substantial harm? So everything is a downside risk when calculating the creation of a human being. You've got to create deprivation in them to motivate them, and because of that deprivation engine, you might create substantial harm in them that can never be compensated for. And then all of this in the context of this idea that you inject this, or you propel this mechanism into the future without any signed contract from the Frankenstein victim. You are essentially reanimating the dead, okay, and they just forget who they used to be, and you're doing it without any permission. You're just saying, I have the authority to play games with sentient life, that I can take responsibility, that I can be accountable, I've got proper competence, I've got proper insurance to guarantee against colossal and catastrophic failure. Well, you don't have that. Even the stupid power company in Japan has insurance, you know? So this is bullshit. These people aren't even trying to cover their losses or their potential risk of loss. They're just pretending they have a license because 4 billion years ago a cell reproduced itself. And they say, that's all the authority I need. Because that cell did it, I can do it. And that's just as lame could fucking be. For something with billions of neurons to walk around saying a DNA molecule says I'm allowed to. I mean, come on, you've got to do better than that. So anyway, I think I've covered your two major points here. But yeah, obviously you're going to have to point to a premise that any antinatalist, any contention they've made, any factual contention that they've made as premise logic in their argument, you've got to unravel one of those premises and point out how it is dogma, how they got it from a book, or they got it from a fairy tale, or they got it from some other imbecilic made-up place. Prove to me, demonstrate to me where I have made up a single premise in my argument. What is made up? What isn't factually demonstratable by a preponderance of the known evidence? And what piece of evidence or counter argument are you going to make? Where you're going to say it could be? If you're going to say there's a truth that could be, you've got to show some indication of how that could be. How could a God exist? How could an intelligence be responsible for this mechanism? Explain to me how anything intelligent could possibly find it ethical or correct to put us in this dilemma, to leave us ignorant, to leave us vulnerable, and to play this fucking game. There's no way that could be attributed to intelligence. It could only be attributed to a wanting, selfish, crazy, or in some other way motherfuckered asshole. There's nothing with a functioning, rational, conscious brain that would do or conduct this grand an experiment without taking proper responsibility and oversight. There's just no effing way you're going to make that make any more sense than a Jim Jones theory. So I argue you're the religious nut. You're the one defending some kind of Frankenstein zombie logic, that somehow we are allowed to play with this this consciousness thing, that we have a right to play God. Well, I say you fall short. Way fucking short. Anyway. Enough said, I think. Yeah. So, sorry, I don't know if you heard any of this. It's really loud, this rain. It's loud rain. It's wet rain. Yeah, it's really rainy rain. Look, it's all rainy. It makes all these splashy things everywhere. Fucking goddamn rain. So anyway, till the next time. Well, till the add-on too. Like I said, I will play you parts of your video at least, just so you get the flavor of it. But I think I really did absolutely wipe out the 2 points you made in the video. So till next time.